You know, Thomas Jefferson once wrote that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people will secure their own oppression. Well, the centuries have come and gone, and our individual and collective failure to pay the price for that freedom has laid the reward for our apathy and indifference soundly at our feet. We have failed to recognize the monstrosity that is called the federal and state governments. Here are 10 things about the U.S. government you probably don't know and you'll wish were not true. Last year, police in the United States killed 1,100 people. That's an average of 3 people a day. During that same year, police in Canada killed 14 people. In China, 12 were killed. And police in Germany didn't kill anybody at all. So, if you want to increase your chances of being murdered by a government agent, come on over to America, where our professional overlords work hard to take everything you've got so they can give others all they want.
Dial before midnight tonight. Operators are standing by.
If you really want to feed the planet, go after the biggest food waster in the history of mankind, the idiotic USA corn ethanol program. 4 billion tons of corn is wasted annually. That's enough to feed 400 million people for an entire year. And to make matters worse, making ethanol creates a negative net energy balance, which means that corn has a far lower energy yield relative to the energy used to produce it. It's what policy wonks call net energy balance. It costs more and takes more energy to make the stuff than the energy it'll produce. And believe it or not, ethanol yields about 30% less energy per gallon than petroleum. So the mileage per gallon in internal combustion engines drops off significantly. The ethanol boondoggle is, in effect, protected by a federal mandate that requires the production of 13.95 billion gallons of alternative fuels this year and 36 billion gallons by 2022. The ripple effects of this nonsensical policy has been so profound that the U.S. Congressional Budget Office reported, quote, "The increased use of ethanol accounts for about 10 to 15% of the rise in food prices. In turn, that increase boosts federal spending for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, and Child Nutrition Program by an estimated $600 to $900 million per year." According to government statistics, 60 to 70% of the U.S. population is overweight. Now remember, this is a government report, so this may or may not be true. But let's say you are 60 pounds overweight. Statistically speaking, the food you're wasting to maintain your bulk could keep 2 people from starving to death each year. Many will be surprised to discover that the U.S. Code does not define the United States of America as a country, but as a corporation. I know, sounds like a conspiracy theory, but you can read it for yourself in the U.S. Code. Title 28.3002, quote, "The United States means a federal corporation." So the next time you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you might want to think about putting your hand over your heart and facing a corporately produced can of Pepsi rather than the American flag. I'm sure many of you have heard this before, but it bears repeating again and again. The Federal Reserve is about as Federal Express, and there are no reserves. The Federal Reserve is not a government entity. Their own website testifies to this. Put plainly, the Federal Reserve is a cartel of private international bankers who have essentially formed an elite group of robber barons, hijacking the monetary system of the U.S. and have been in control of the issuance of its currency since 1913. Through the hidden tax called inflation, the Federal Reserve fat cats oversee the printing of what is known as fiat currency. That's currency that gets its value by arbitrary edict. The Fed and their buddies get to spend it first, and by the time it trickles down to us, it's lost much of its purchasing power. If you want more information on the greatest scam in world history, just check out this video right here. There are 313 million people living in the United States. 46 million of them are on government-issued food stamps. By the way, the government can't give you what it hasn't first stolen from someone else, which is why Frederick Bastiat wrote, "The state is that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else. If Bill Gates gave every single penny of his vast fortune to the US government, it would only cover the US budget deficit for about 15 days. Giving the government your money is not such a good idea. The irresponsibility and misappropriation of state agents in dealing with money issues is so bad that if they were in charge of the desert, it wouldn't take long before it ran out of sand. Don't! Operation Northwoods was a proposed operation against the Cuban government that originated within the Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States government in 1962. The proposals called for the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, and other U.S. government operatives to commit acts of terrorism against American civilians and military targets on American soil, including crashing planes filled with college students, blaming it on the Cuban government, and using the ensuing indignation of the American people to justify a war against Cuba. For more details on that, check out this video. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, also known as the USS Maddox incident, is the name given to what were originally claimed to be two separate confrontations in which North Vietnamese torpedo boats were said to have fired on the USS Maddox in the waters of the Gulf of Tonkin. The outcome of these two incidents was the passage by Congress of the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which granted President Lyndon B. Johnson the authority to assist any Southeast Asian country whose government was considered to be jeopardized by, quote, communist aggression. The resolution served as Johnson's legal justification for deploying U.S. conventional forces and the commencement of open warfare against North Vietnam. When the incident was declassified in 2005, it was discovered that the Tonkin attack was imaginary, but promoted as real to rally American support for the war. As a direct result of this political deception, which was broadcast by the mainstream media and believed by the people, it is estimated that over 1.3 million people lost their lives in a war that was completely based on a lie. The US government and other governments around the world employ a technique known as the Hegelian dialectic. In short, this approach can be summed up in three words: problem, reaction, solution. Government operatives create a problem which is usually magnified and hyped by the mainstream media, usually in the form of an approaching enemy threatening our lives and freedoms. This creates what government officials term as, quote, a healthy wave of national indignation. The government then steps in with their pre-planned solution to the problem they created. Historically, this has meant taking the country to war. Wars that kill the poor and make the rich even wealthier. And as Nazi leader Hermann Göring testified at the Nuremberg trials, quote, why, of course the people don't want war. Why would some poor slob on a farm want to risk his life in a war when the best he can get out of it is to come back to his farm in one piece? Naturally, the common people don't want war, neither in Russia, nor in England, nor in America, nor for that matter in Germany. That is understood. But after all, it is the leaders of the country who determine the policy, and it is always a simple matter to drag the people along, whether it is a democracy or a fascist dictatorship or a parliament or a communist dictatorship, voice or no voice. The people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country. In 1927, the U.S. Supreme Court voted 8-1 in favor of a Virginia eugenics program requiring forced sterilization of citizens deemed not smart enough to reproduce. Citing the best interest of the state, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes affirmed the value of a law like Virginia's in order to prevent the nation from being, quote, swamped with incompetence. The law was named the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, part of the state of Virginia's eugenics program. Justice Holmes wrote, quote, it is better for all the world if instead of waiting to execute degenerate offspring for crime or to let them starve for their imbecility, society can prevent those who are manifestly unfit from continuing their kind. Guys, thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. Here I am in Hermitage, Tennessee at J. Persipres Dam. These are my old stomping grounds. This is about 10 or 15 miles from Nashville, Tennessee. And this hill that you see behind me in the background, that's a hill I used to run up and down to get in shape for wrestling, you know, to get ready for that next match. Hoorah, hoorah. Listen, if you want to watch more videos like this, or if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and share it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to see more videos like this, or you want to support this channel, just hit that big red subscribe button down there. And as soon as I upload a video, you will be one of the first to see it. Now listen guys, I want to personally invite you to click on this link right here. That's going to take you to my brand new vlog channel, and you are definitely going to want to subscribe there because I will be uploading content there you are definitely going to want to see. And before I go, remember, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And indifference to this notion is the means by which we will and have secured our own oppression. The fight for freedom is worth it. You guys have a great day.